My wife was draining our savings for secret affairs while I worked overtime to keep us afloat. The night she came home from another business dinner, she found every trace of me erased from existence. But vanishing was just the opening move. What I did next left them both with nothing. My name is Nelson Mitchell. I'm 47 years old, and until 3 weeks ago, I thought I had a solid marriage, 2 great kids, and a life worth fighting for. Turns out I was fighting alone. I work as a systems engineer for TechFlow Solutions here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Been there 12 years, decent salary, good benefits. The kind of job that lets you sleep at night, knowing your family's taken care of. My wife Becca works at Highland Financial as a project manager. She's smart, ambitious, and apparently very good at keeping secrets. Our oldest, Tyler, is 17 and everything you'd want in a teenage son. Honor roll, varsity baseball, planning for college. He's got his mother's sharp mind and, I used to think, her integrity. Our youngest, Daniel, is 13 and lives in his own world. Autism hit him hard around age 4, and since then, our lives have revolved around specialists, therapies, and the constant worry that we're not doing enough. Daniel needs structure, routine, and expensive treatments that insurance covers about, as well as a paper umbrella covers you in a hurricane. That's where the money goes, or where I thought it went. 3 weeks ago, I was organizing our tax documents when I found receipts that didn't add up. Dinner for 2 at restaurants I'd never been to. Charges at jewelry stores during hours when Becca claimed to be in budget meetings. A hotel bill from last month when she said she was visiting her sister in Atlanta. I sat in my home office, surrounded by evidence of a life I no longer recognized, and felt something die inside me. Not break, not shatter, just quietly stop beating. The smart play would have been to confront her immediately. Ask questions, demand answers, maybe salvage whatever was left. But I've learned something about myself in 47 years. I'm not the kind of man who fights for scraps of attention. I'm the kind who plans, who thinks, who makes sure that when I move, it counts. So I started watching, listening, taking notes like I was debugging faulty code at work. Every late night, every weekend conference call that required her to drive to the office in full makeup, every time she smiled at her phone and quickly put it away when I entered the room. The pattern emerged cleaner than any system analysis I'd ever run at TechFlow. Becca wasn't just cheating on me. She was funding it with money meant for our son's future. That's when I stopped being the good husband and started being something else entirely. The surveillance started simple. I began checking our joint credit card statements every evening after putting Daniel to bed. What I found made my stomach turn, but not from surprise, from the methodical nature of it all. Becca wasn't just having an affair. She was living a double life, and she was using our son's medical fund to finance it. Tuesday nights became her regular pattern. Late strategy sessions with the Highland team, she'd say, kissing my cheek and grabbing her expensive purse. The one I bought her for Christmas 2 years ago, back when I thought those kinds of gestures mattered. I started following the digital trail. Restaurant charges at places like Meridian Steakhouse and the Glass Tower. Upscale joints where she'd never taken me, not even for our anniversary. Hotel room charges at the Marriott downtown, always on nights when she claimed to be working late at the office. The breaking point came when I found a jewelry store receipt. $800 for a men's watch. When I asked Becca about it, she didn't even blink. It's for Tyler's graduation gift, Becca said, not looking up from her laptop. I wanted to get something nice. But Tyler's graduation wasn't for 6 months, and I'd already seen him wearing his grandfather's old watch that he treasured. She was lying to my face with the same calm voice she used to discuss Daniel's therapy schedule. That night, after she fell asleep, I went through her phone. The password was Daniel's birthday, a sick irony that wasn't lost on me. What I found in her messages with someone labeled DH told me everything I needed to know. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. The reservation at Meridian is set for 7. Thanks for the beautiful watch. You have such good taste. Nelson's working late again. We have a whole evening. DH. Derek Hartwell. Her boss, the vice president of Highland Financial. The man who'd sat at our dinner table last Christmas, talking about company values and family priorities while planning to destroy mine. I screenshotted everything and emailed the evidence to a private account I set up. Then I put her phone back and lay in bed next to my wife, staring at the ceiling and planning my next move. The following evening, I called my brother Joel and asked if I could stop by his auto shop after hours. Sure thing, Joel said over the phone. Everything all right, Nelson? I need to ask you a favor, I said, watching Becca get ready for another team meeting in the bathroom mirror. And I need you to keep it between us. Joel had always been the practical one in our family. When our dad passed 5 years ago, Joel handled all the arrangements while I fell apart. If anyone would understand what I was planning, it would be him. That night, I drove to Joel's shop and laid out everything. The receipts, the phone messages, the pattern of lies that had been building for months. Joel listened without interrupting, his weathered hands folded on his workbench. What do you need from me? Joel asked when I finished. Storage space, I said, and maybe a place to crash when the time comes. Joel nodded slowly. She's really throwing it all away, isn't she? The marriage, the family, everything you built together. She already threw it away, I replied. I'm just cleaning up the mess. The next morning, I called in sick to Tech Flow for the first time in 3 years. I had work to do, and it couldn't wait. While Becca was at Highland Financial, probably planning her next rendezvous with Derek, I was systematically dismantling our shared life. I started with the important documents, birth certificates, insurance papers, Daniel's medical records. Everything went into a fireproof box that I loaded into my truck. Tyler was at school, and Daniel was at his Tuesday therapy session with Dr. Sarah Kane, which gave me a 4-hour window. I moved through our house like a man preparing for war, because in a way, that's exactly what this was. The hardest part was Daniel's room, his sensory toys, his weighted blanket, the special lamp that helped him sleep. I couldn't take everything without traumatizing him, but I photographed every item and made detailed notes about his routines. If this went to court, I'd need proof that I was the primary caregiver. I found more evidence in Becca's jewelry box. A platinum bracelet I'd never seen before, obviously expensive. The receipt was tucked underneath, dated last month. Another gift from Derek, paid for with our family's money. My phone buzzed with a text from Joel. Storage unit is ready. Unit 47, combination, is Daniel's birthday. I loaded my truck with boxes and drove to Joel's shop. He was waiting with a cup of coffee and a grim expression. How you holding up? Joel asked, helping me unload. I'm focused, I replied. That's what matters right now. Joel nodded approvingly. Good. Falling apart comes later, after you've won. We stored everything in the climate-controlled unit Joel had rented under his name. As we locked it up, I felt a strange sense of relief. For the first time in months, I had control over something. That afternoon, I picked up Daniel from therapy. Dr. Kane pulled me aside before we left. Nelson, I wanted to discuss Daniel's progress, Dr. Kane said. He's been asking about changes at home. Children with autism are very sensitive to disruption. What kind of changes? I asked, though I suspected I already knew. He's mentioned that Mommy is sad, and that you and Mommy don't talk like you used to, Dr. Kane explained. Has there been tension at home? I looked at Daniel, who was carefully organizing his toy cars by color, completely absorbed in his task. My son was already sensing that his world was about to change. Dr. Kane, can I ask you something confidentially? I said, of course. If there were to be custody issues, what would be Daniel's best interests? Dr. Kane studied my face carefully. Daniel thrives on routine and stability. He's most comfortable with his primary caregiver, which, from what I've observed, has always been you. I felt a surge of validation. At least someone recognized that I was the one who truly took care of my son. I'll keep that in mind, I said. That evening, Becca came home late again, full of apologies and explanations about a client emergency. I nodded and smiled, playing the part of the understanding husband while mentally cataloging another lie. As she kissed Daniel goodnight, I watched her performance with new eyes. She was going through the motions, checking boxes, but her heart wasn't in it. Her heart was somewhere else entirely. After she fell asleep, I sat in my home office and began drafting the most important document of my life, a detailed account of everything I discovered, with evidence attached. Tomorrow, I take it to Patricia Vance, the family attorney Joel had recommended. The war was about to begin. The morning I vanished from my own life, I woke up at 5 a.m. and made coffee like it was any other Tuesday. Becca was still asleep, and the house was quiet except for the familiar sounds of our neighborhood coming to life. I've been planning this moment for 2 weeks. Ever since my meeting with Patricia Vance confirmed what I already knew, I had enough evidence to destroy both Becca and Derek if I played it right. By 6 a.m., I had 3 moving boxes packed with my essential belongings loaded in my truck. The rest of my stuff was already in Joel's storage unit. I left behind only the things that would make my absence obvious: my favorite coffee mug, my reading chair, the family photos where I appeared. Tyler left for school at 7:15, same as always. I hugged him a little longer than usual. "Dad, you okay?" Tyler asked, pulling back to look at my face. "I'm fine, son. Just proud of the man you're becoming." Tyler smiled and headed out the door, completely unaware that everything was about to change. Daniel's routine was sacred, so I maintained it perfectly. Breakfast at 7:30, cartoon time while I got his backpack ready, and then the drive to his specialized school program. "Are we going home after school, Daddy?" Daniel asked as I walked him to his classroom. "You're going home," I said carefully. "Mrs. Patterson will pick you up today, remember?" Daniel nodded. I'd arranged for our neighbor to get him after school and stay with him until Becca returned from her dinner with Derek. I couldn't let my son come home to an empty house and panic. At 8:45, I was back home. Becca was in the shower, getting ready for another day of lies and betrayal. I could hear her singing softly, probably thinking about her evening plans. I moved through the house one final time, erasing myself methodically. My tools from the garage, my books from the living room shelves, even my prescription medications from the bathroom cabinet. By 9:30, Becca was dressed and having her morning coffee. "I might be late tonight," Becca said, not meeting my eyes. "Derek wants the whole team to attend this networking dinner." "Of course he does," I replied evenly. She kissed my cheek and left for work, completely oblivious to the fact that she'd never see me in that house again. I spent the day completing my exit strategy. Final bank transfers, post office box setup, and a long conversation with Patricia Vance about what would happen next. "Are you sure about this approach?" Patricia asked. "It's dramatic." "She's been dramatic for months," I replied. "I'm just responding in kind." At 6 p.m., I placed my wedding ring on Becca's bedside table, right next to her expensive perfume, another gift I'd never bought her. Then I loaded the last box into my truck and drove to Joel's place. At 8:15, I received a text from Mrs. Patterson. "Daniel is fed and doing homework. Everything's normal here." At 9:43, my phone started ringing. Becca's number flashed on the screen as she came back from dinner with her boss and found every trace of me erased from the house. I let it ring. My phone buzzed 17 times in the first hour. I sat in Joel's living room, watching Becca's name flash across the screen like a desperate strobe light, but I didn't answer. Each unanswered call was another nail in the coffin of her carefully constructed double life. Joel brought me a beer and settled into his recliner. "How long you gonna let her sweat?" "Long enough for her to understand what she's lost," I replied, taking a sip. "She's probably tearing the house apart right now, looking for some explanation that doesn't involve her facing the truth." The first voicemail came at 10:15 p.m. Becca's voice was controlled, professional, like she was leaving a message for a client. "Nelson, I don't know what's going on, but this isn't funny. Call me back immediately. Daniel's asking for you, and I don't know what to tell him." I deleted it without finishing. The second voicemail, 20 minutes later, had a different tone entirely. "Where the hell are you? Your clothes are gone, your computer's gone, even your coffee maker is missing. If you think you can just disappear without explaining yourself, you're insane. I'm calling the police." Let her call them. I hadn't done anything illegal. Unlike her, who'd been stealing from our son's medical fund to finance her affair. Joel glanced at my phone as it buzzed again. "She's persistent, I'll give her that. Desperation makes people persistent," I said. "She's probably realizing that Derek isn't going to leave his wife for her, and now she's lost me too." The third voicemail arrived just after midnight. This time, Becca was crying. "Nelson, please. I know you're angry about something, but we can work this out. Daniel had a meltdown when he couldn't find you. He's sleeping in our bed now, asking when Daddy's coming home. Please just call me back. For Daniel's sake." That one hit harder than I expected. My son needed routine, stability, but I couldn't provide that while living a lie. The boy deserved a father who stood up for himself and for their family's future. My phone rang again. This time it wasn't Becca. It was Tyler. "Dad, where are you?" Tyler's voice was tight with worry. "Mom's freaking out. She keeps saying you disappeared, but people don't just disappear." "Tyler, I need you to listen carefully," I said. "I'm safe, and I'm not far away, but I can't come home right now." "Why not?" What's going on? I closed my eyes, hating that my 17-year-old son was getting dragged into this mess. Your mother and I have some serious problems to work out. I'll explain everything when I can. But right now I need you to take care of Daniel. Dad, he's been crying for an hour. He doesn't understand why you're not here for bedtime stories. Tell him I love him, and that sometimes grown-ups have to make hard decisions to protect the people they care about. Tyler was quiet for a moment. Does this have something to do with Mom's boss? Smart kid. Too smart for his own good sometimes. Just take care of your brother, I said. I'll be in touch soon. After I hung up, Joel shook his head. This is tougher than you thought it would be. The right thing usually is, I replied. But I'm not backing down. She made her choice when she started stealing from Daniel's medical fund to buy gifts for her lover. At 1 a.m., Becca left her final voicemail of the night. Her voice was hoarse from crying, broken in a way I'd never heard before. Nelson, I know why you left. I know you found out about Derek. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But please come home. We'll figure this out together. Don't punish the kids because of my mistakes. Too little, too late. She was only sorry because she got caught. I woke up on Joel's couch at dawn, my neck stiff and my phone silent. For a moment, I felt peaceful. No Daniel jumping on the bed asking for pancakes. No Becca rushing around getting ready to lie to me again. Then reality hit. I missed my son's morning routine. I missed helping him pick out clothes and making sure he had his special lunch bag for school. Joel appeared in the kitchen doorway, already dressed for work. Coffee's ready. How you feeling? Like I just burned down my own house, I admitted. Sometimes that's the only way to rebuild on solid ground, Joel said, handing me a mug. What's the plan today? Before I could answer, my phone rang. Dr. Sarah Kane's number appeared on the screen. Dr. Kane? Is everything all right? Nelson, I'm calling because Daniel missed his morning session, Dr. Kane said. Rebecca brought him in, but he's extremely agitated. He keeps asking for you, and his stress levels are affecting his ability to participate in therapy. I felt like someone had punched me in the gut. How bad is it? He's having difficulty with verbal communication and showing signs of regression. Children with autism don't handle sudden changes well, as you know. Dr. Kane, I need to ask you something. If I were to request emergency custody evaluation, would you be willing to testify about Daniel's primary caregiver? There was a long pause. Nelson, are you and Rebecca divorcing? Most likely yes. And I need to make sure Daniel's best interests are protected. I would need to review my professional obligations. But yes, I believe Daniel's welfare comes first. He's clearly most comfortable with you. After I hung up, Joel was watching me with a concerned expression. Having second thoughts. Joel asked, about leaving Becca? No. About the impact on Daniel? Every minute. You can't go back to living a lie just to maintain his routine, Joel said firmly. Kids are tougher than you think. He'll adjust, especially if he's with the parent who actually takes care of him. At 9 a.m., my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. She spent the night crying on my couch. Hope you're happy now. Derek Hartwell. The arrogant piece of garbage actually had the nerve to contact me. I showed the text to Joel, who laughed bitterly. This guy's got stones, I'll give him that, Joel said. I typed back a simple reply. Tell her check her email. I prepared something special for this moment. An email containing every piece of evidence I'd gathered about their affair, along with a detailed breakdown of how much money Becca had stolen from Daniel's medical fund to finance their relationship. But I didn't send it to Becca. I sent it to Highland Financial's Human Resources Department, with Derek's supervisor CC'd on the message. What did you do? Joel asked, seeing my satisfied expression. I just gave Derek something real to worry about, I said. By noon, he'll be in meetings with HR trying to explain why he's been using his position to manipulate subordinates' wives. My phone rang immediately. Becca's number. This time I answered. You sent that email to my company. Becca's voice was shaking with rage. How could you do that to me? I didn't do anything to you. I replied calmly. I simply provided documentation of what you did to our family. Derek's career is ruined. They put him on administrative leave. Good. Maybe he'll have time to think about what happens when you mess with other men's families. Becca started crying. Nelson, please. Come home. We'll go to counseling. I'll quit my job. Whatever you want. What I want, I said, is for you to stop stealing from our son's medical fund to buy gifts for your boyfriend. What I want is a wife who doesn't lie to my face every single day. I hung up before she could respond. The war had officially begun. 3 days after my disappearance, Patricia Vance called with news that made my blood boil. "Nelson, I've completed the financial analysis you requested," Patricia said over the phone. "What I found is worse than we thought." I was sitting in Joel's garage, helping him rebuild an engine while trying to keep my mind occupied. "How much worse?" "Becca's been diverting funds for 8 months, not 6. The total amount stolen from Daniel's medical fund is over $12,000. I set down my wrench and closed my eyes. $12,000. That was nearly a year's worth of Daniel's specialized therapy sessions. "There's more," Patricia continued. "I found credit card charges for expensive gifts that coincide exactly with Derek Hartwell's birthday and the anniversary of his promotion. She's been using your son's medical money to buy presents for her lover." "What kind of gifts?" I asked, though part of me didn't want to know. "A custom watch, designer cufflinks, weekend getaways to luxury resorts. All charged to the credit card that's supposed to be for Daniel's medical expenses." I felt something cold settle in my chest. This wasn't just infidelity anymore. It was theft from a disabled child. "Patricia, I want you to file a report with social services." "Nelson, that's a serious step." "Are you sure?" "She's been neglecting Daniel's medical needs to fund her affair. That's child endangerment in my book." That afternoon, I drove to Daniel's school and watched from the parking lot as Becca picked him up. She looked exhausted, defeated, but I felt no sympathy. She'd made her choices. My phone buzzed with a text from Tyler. "Dad, Mom's been crying nonstop. She keeps saying she's sorry and that Derek dumped her. She wants to know if you'll meet with her." I typed back, "Derek dumped her because HR is investigating him. Tell your mother I'll speak with her through my attorney." That evening, Joel and I were watching the news when my phone rang. Dr. Sarah Kane's number. "Nelson, I'm calling about Daniel's upcoming evaluation with the state," Dr. Kane said. "What evaluation?" "Someone filed a report alleging medical neglect. Daniel's been scheduled for a comprehensive assessment to determine if his medical needs are being properly met." I felt a mix of satisfaction and sadness. The wheels were in motion, but my son would have to endure scrutiny because of his mother's selfishness. "Dr. Kane, will you be honest with the evaluators about Daniel's care?" "I'll tell them the truth, that you've been his primary caregiver and advocate since his diagnosis. The records don't lie, Nelson." After I hung up, Joel looked at me with respect. "You're playing hardball now," he said. "She stole from a disabled child to buy gifts for her boyfriend." I replied, "Hardball is all she deserves." The social services investigation moved faster than I expected. Within a week of Patricia filing the report, a caseworker named Mrs. Henderson arrived at our house to interview Becca and assess Daniel's living situation. I knew because Tyler texted me, "Dad, there's a woman from the state here asking Mom about Daniel's medical care. Mom's freaking out." That afternoon, Mrs. Henderson called me directly. "Mr. Mitchell, I need to speak with you about your son Daniel's care." "Of course. What do you need to know?" "I've reviewed his medical records, and there's a concerning pattern. Several therapy sessions were canceled due to non-payment, and recommended equipment purchases were delayed for months." "That equipment was delayed because my wife was spending the money elsewhere," I said carefully. "Can you document that claim?" "I have 8 months of credit card statements showing medical funds being diverted to restaurants, hotels, and luxury purchases while Daniel's therapy bills went unpaid." Mrs. Henderson was quiet for a moment. "Mr. Mitchell, would you be available to meet with me tomorrow? I'd like to discuss Daniel's best interests." The next day, I met Mrs. Henderson at Neutral Location, a family services office in downtown Charlotte. She was a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. "Mr. Mitchell, I'll be direct," she said, reviewing a thick folder. "Based on my investigation, you appear to have been Daniel's primary caregiver while your wife was distracted by other priorities. That's a polite way to put it. The concerning issue is that Daniel's medical needs were being compromised. Dr. Kane confirmed that you attend every appointment, manage his therapy schedule, and handle all communication with his medical team." "Daniel is my priority," I said simply. Mrs. Henderson nodded. "I'm recommending temporary custody be awarded to you, pending the outcome of her divorce proceedings. Daniel's routine and medical care shouldn't be disrupted further." I felt a surge of relief mixed with sadness. Victory, but at what cost? What about my wife? "Mrs. Mitchell will have supervised visitation until she can demonstrate that she's prioritizing Daniel's needs over her personal interests. That evening, I called Tyler to explain what was happening. "Dad, does this mean you're coming home?" Tyler asked hopefully. "Not yet, son. But it means Daniel will be coming to stay with me at Uncle Joel's until we figure out the next steps." "What about Mom?" I sighed. "Your mother made choices that hurt Daniel. Now she has to face the consequences." Tyler was quiet for a long moment. "I saw the credit card statements, Dad. She spent more on one dinner with her boss than on Daniel's therapy equipment." "I know, Tyler. I know. Are you going to divorce her?" "Yes," I said without hesitation. "Some things can't be forgiven." 2 months after my disappearance, Highland Financial terminated Derek Hartwell for gross misconduct and misuse of company resources. The internal investigation revealed he'd been using corporate accounts to finance relationships with 3 different subordinates' wives over the past 2 years. Patricia called me with the news while I was helping Daniel with his morning therapy exercises in our new apartment. "Derek's not just fired," Patricia said. "Highland is considering criminal charges for embezzlement. Apparently, your wife wasn't his first victim." "What about the other families?" 2 other divorces are pending. One husband is also seeking custody based on financial neglect of their special needs child. I felt no satisfaction in Derek's downfall, only relief that other families might find justice. The custody hearing went exactly as Patricia predicted. Mrs. Henderson's report was devastating for Becca's case. 8 months of documented medical neglect while she spent thousands on her affair. "Your Honor," the judge said, reviewing the evidence, "the pattern of behavior shown here demonstrates a clear prioritization of personal gratification over a disabled child's medical needs." Becca's attorney tried to argue that she'd been manipulated by Derek, but the financial records didn't lie. Every expensive dinner, every hotel stay, every luxury purchase had been her choice. The judge awarded me full custody of Daniel, with supervised visitation for Becca twice a week. After the hearing, Becca approached me in the hallway. "Nelson, I know you hate me, but please don't poison Daniel against me." "I don't hate you," I said honestly, "but I'll never trust you again. Daniel needs stability, and I can provide that." Tyler chose to live with me full-time. At 17, he was old enough to make that decision, and he'd seen enough of his mother's lies. "Dad, I respect how you handled this," Tyler told me that evening. "You didn't lose your temper or do anything crazy. You just gathered facts and let the truth speak for itself. That's what men do, Tyler. We protect our families, even when it's hard." 8 months later, Daniel and I have settled into a routine that works. Our apartment is smaller than the house, but it's honest. No lies, no secrets, no wondering what's real. Daniel's therapy progress has been remarkable since we eliminated the financial stress. Dr. Kane says his improvement is directly related to having a stable, consistent caregiver who prioritizes his needs. Daniel's anxiety levels have decreased significantly, Dr. Kane told me at his latest evaluation. Children with autism thrive when they can trust their environment. Tyler graduated with honors and earned a partial scholarship to UNC Charlotte. He'll live at home his first year, helping with Daniel while pursuing his engineering degree. "I want to be like you, Dad," Tyler told me. "Someone who keeps his word and takes care of his family." Becca completed her court-ordered counseling and financial accountability courses. She sees Daniel twice a week for supervised visits, and she's learning to actually engage with him instead of just going through the motions. "She's different now," Tyler observed after one of Daniel's visits. "Like she finally understands what she lost." I've started seeing Dr. Amanda Ross, who transferred to Charlotte from her previous practice. She understands the challenges of raising a special needs child, and she respects the sacrifices I've made for Daniel's well-being. "You're an exceptional father," Amanda told me over dinner last week. "Daniel is lucky to have someone who fought so hard for his future." Last weekend, Tyler, Daniel, and I went fishing at Lake Norman. Daniel caught his first base and spent 20 minutes describing every detail of the experience. Tyler laughed at his brother's excitement, and for a moment, we felt like a complete family again. "Daddy," Daniel said as we packed up our gear, "I like our new life. It's quiet and safe." "Me too, son. Me too." Looking back, I realized Becca didn't break our family. She revealed what it really was. A father who would fight for his children, a teenage son with integrity beyond his years, and a special boy who just needed someone to put his needs first. Some endings are actually beginnings. This was one of them.